think you're really going to enjoy this show. Mary Joyce, she's going to go into some of the stuff that she's gone into. I mean, some government secret type stuff. I'd like to bring her out. She's a veteran investigative journalist and author, editor of Sky Ships Over Cashiers. She's a former Metro newspaper feature editor and columnist. She spent years uncovering UFOs, Bigfoot, underground bases, and interdimensional beings through eyewitness accounts and cutting edge research. So we thank her for that. We definitely do, because that's big, and that's definitely the integrity that we need to have. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mary out here, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. I'm sure I didn't do that justice. I just want to thank you, Mary, for being here.
Well, it's a pleasure. We have to confess to all your followers that we were having all sorts of fun with the technicalities before we got the show.
Mary, we're not supposed to talk about that.
It may look easy when you are watching somebody on their podcast, but it's not always easy. The technical stuff can make you a little crazy, right?
Oh, Lord, you're right about that. You are right about that. That's so funny. I mean, it's funny. I told Mary, I said, we're going to survive this. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we definitely, that's funny you said that.
Oh, well, man. I'm not sure I think you discovered me because of the Sky Ships Over Cashiers website. And yeah. That's where I live. I live in the mountains of Western North Carolina. And normally I talk about the Bigfoot and the Cherokee Little People and the underground bases and the UFOs. We've gone way beyond this area, but there's a lot of that goes on right here. But what I really wanted to share with you tonight is stuff from my past that's become very timely. Ever since Artemis II decided to take a swing around the moon, there's been renewed interest in NASA. And back in the late 80s, I worked at a college down in Florida and lived right on Cocoa Beach. I lived so close to the Kennedy Space Center that whenever there was a launch, my floor would vibrate, even before you could see the missile or the shuttle or whatever in the air. And so I got to meet a lot of people who worked at NASA. And I really would like to start by telling you about my experience when I met my first astronaut, because it wasn't anything like I expected it to be. Somebody invited about 12 of us over to a bungalow house in Orlando to meet Clark McClellan. Now, Clark McClellan worked for NASA for well over 30 years, and he was fired. And he was so upset because it had just happened to him that he literally was sweating, and the place was air conditioned. And the woman whose house he was staying with, because he lost everything, he lost his salary, he lost his job, he lost his benefits, he lost his everything. And that surprised me at how stressed out he really, really was. Oh, yeah. And here's the reason he got fired. He was working at Mission Control at the Kennedy Space Center, and he was monitoring the monitor. Now, he was trained, so if something went wrong in space, he was also an astronaut who could help them perhaps solve the problem. All of a sudden, on this live monitor, he saw a tall ET, about 8 to 9 feet tall, in a spacesuit in the open bay of the shuttle. And next to this tall ET were two tethered astronauts who were considerably shorter. And right next to the open bay, the craft that the ET had arrived on was kind of just parked there or hovered there. He made the mistake of talking about that to somebody else at NASA. He was not supposed to talk about it. He got fired for doing that. And anyhow, he was just devastated because the poor man had worked there for over 30 years. And let me pull something up here because he added something else when he was talking to us. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to quote him on this because he said there were two other incidents that other people had seen. So this is the quote. About 2 months following my incident, which was the observation of the ET, I was informed by another report by another aerospace engineer. This person was also involved in the launching of space shuttles. This shuttle engineer observed a similar entity 8 to 9 feet tall, inside the space shuttle crew compartment as it was orbiting Earth. Yes, inside the shuttle. It was slouched over to protect its head from hitting the shuttle overhead structure. Again, it was communicating with two much smaller NASA astronauts. I've seen many, we all have. We've all seen pictures of the compartments that these astronauts are in. And to imagine an 8 or 9 feet tall being squeezed in there is, it had to be tight.
Oh, yeah, it definitely had to. It's not a lot of room. Do you think that's what they, I often wonder, a lot of questions are raised. Do you think they were actually in like a space shuttle, or do you think that's kind of like more like they go into kind of a simulator, I guess, type of thing? Do you think that?
No, I absolutely, I have, the man, he was so truthful. Every pore in his body was pouring out truth. There was no sign that anything had been fabricated in any way whatsoever. Again, that's just my word, but
no, and people ask. That's why I and you being an investigative journalist, I feel like you've gone through every avenue of that anyway. So,
well, some of my stories were involved with the mafia and people getting beat up by the mafia and stuff. So you begin, and I've had a gun pointed at me, and you begin to read things pretty fast, or you won't survive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And there's so much, of the mind control stuff in the government, and the, like, I just didn't know if that avenue, if you felt like it was like manipulated by maybe our government, or if it was something, like, what's the story behind all of that?
Well, remember this was in the late 80s. And some of this stuff that is part of conspiracy wasn't even talked about at that time.
Oh, sure. I bet not.
Yeah.
But not. Wow, it's so fascinating.
Another thing I found all of his experiences fascinating. Another one was that he became friends with Wernher von Braun, who was brought over from Germany. In fact, about 1,600 plus engineers involved with the rocketry program in Germany were brought and were eventually pulled into NASA. And these two were friends from 1959 to 1966, and that's 7 years. And the two had a lot in common. And when Wernher von Braun would come to the Space Center, because he was over in Huntsville, the two of them would try to get away from the meetings, and they would go out and sit under one of the umbrella tables by the hotel they would be at, or out to the beach. And they had long conversations because they had so many interests in common. And let me see, what can I say about all that? Anyhow, he talked to Clark about Antarctica. He talked to him about Mars. He talked to him about working with ETs. You pick where you want me to start.
Well, yeah, I'd like to start with his work with ETs. That's interesting.
Start with the work with ETs, okay?
And then real quickly, there was a question. I don't know, before we get going, and just, I guess, wanted to ask you real quick. Does Mary think there's a connection with UFOs and Bigfoot?
I think there could very well be. I can't absolutely say that, but we have the Bigfoot and the UFOs in the same area. One of the men who lives still in Western North Carolina, but east from where I am, there was a forest that had been pretty well cleared. And so apparently the Bigfoot had been living in there, and they moved onto his property. And one night he heard noises out there, and he went outside, and the Bigfoot were lined up along the tree line, pointing to the sky, and there was a UFO above them. So that's another thing that I know about that gives credence to that possibility. But can I say that? Absolutely, I cannot.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so we're going with ETs now, huh? Is that the one you want?
Going with ETs.
All righty. All right. This is a quote. This is Clark quoting von Braun. Let's see here. The Aryans from Aldebaran arrived on Earth many, many thousands of years ago, most recently in the early 1930s. They were here assisting the German armies with weapons that were far ahead of those of the USA, Russia, and Japan. Yes, I have seen real ETs from Aldebaran. Then he described them. He said, quote, they're taller and many have the blonde hair and blue eyes. I have heard other of us Germans at KSC, Kennedy Space Center, admit they saw them too. He said that the Earth is a nursery of many cosmic races from the stars. We are being visited by other intelligence from the stars. So that's a direct.
Wow.
Let's see, I may have one more here. Oh, that's about the moon. Never mind. The moon's a possibility too. But I found it disturbing personally that that the German army was assisted by ETs. Why did they do that? As far as I was concerned, or as far as most of us are concerned, the Nazis weren't terrific people. So why did they help them? And I've never gotten a satisfactory answer out of that one.
Yeah, and then because why do we bring all their scientists then over through Operation Paperclip? And then we, it's very interesting when you take a step back from it.
It makes you wonder a whole lot.
Absolutely.
It really, really does. And let's see, some of this ties in with Antarctica. Let me pull that up. And as I told you before the show, I don't generally read stuff, but when you're quoting people like these people, you don't want the statements in Mary Joyce's words. You would prefer to hear what they have to say. All right. When Clark was working at NASA, he got to know many of the top tier German scientists and engineers. And again, they were brought over with Project Paperclip, and there was at least 1,600 that were brought over. And they were brought to work on the space program. And I'm just going to give you a couple statements. One, several Germans I worked with were very open with me. They said that Hitler and Eva did not die in the bunker that history teaches us as fact. He had a doppelganger twin take his place. Somebody, and I can't verify this, but somebody did tell me that that person who, died for Hitler was a cousin, which is one reason that he was able to look a lot like Hitler with a little surgery. Okay, second statement. They said these escaping Germans and Hitler were taken to what is called the Shangri-La of the Fuhrer Hitler. It was a base built for Hitler under the Antarctic ice cover. The Germans were also advanced in such subterranean construction techniques in the South Polar region under the ice caps. And they were building their spaceships under Antarctica. And that base, according to Clark, is still there. And the final statement I want to give you is, quote, later I discovered through another German scientist that the V7 was the code name for the German saucer-shaped craft that was developed below the South Polar ice cap, the same type that flew over Washington, D.C. and startled President Truman and the Pentagon chiefs in 1952. And I've heard many people talk about that flyover Washington, got them interested in UFOs and space, but this wasn't from outer space. This was, though the technology may go back that far, but those were built by the Germans.
So did they ever allude that Werner von Braun was anything but human?
No, he was human.
No.
Yep.
That's fascinating. You often wonder, I said, coming over here, and I've heard a lot of that. It's implemented in their food now. It's in like the things that they practice there. I'm one to see it as like the 3% against the people. It's you, me, we're not in that club. That's for sure.
But I do think the Nazi influence has been far more extensive than we realize.
Oh, definitely.
This is a totally different source. A friend of mine is the widow of Bill Pollock. And Bill Pollock, I think, is best known for doing all the security for Air Force One. He also was involved with the security around Area 51 or 52. And one day she said he was called to a special meeting at Tonopah. Tonopah is a more secretive place that's still in the same general area of Area 52. So they all were called in for this meeting, And this airplane pulled up right to the door. And a man got out who was dressed in what Bill described as high German style. And the high society style, I guess, was very noticeable, at least at that time. And the man got out. He went to the back of the room where the meeting was going on. He listened to it all. When he did speak, he spoke again in what they call High German. When the meeting was over, he got back into the airplane was right there at the door. He got right back in and he took off. The sad part of this story is she's absolutely convinced that her husband was killed because he knew too much. And that's the bad
to
part
be an
about
ongoing theme, Mary, an ongoing theme.
It's just, it is. So
It's sad. It really is. And people can speculate, but it really, I don't know if it's so much of it. Like I said, I'm the last person to trust our government. I like to distinguish between the two of them. I just don't think our best interests are adhered there, but it's hard to tell sometimes what's us and maybe what's them.
I do not think that the real power are the people that we vote for.
No,
I really think the power is out of sight, out of mind.
absolutely. We had a question too. Have you ever had a UFO experience yourself?
Yes.
Oh, you're an experiencer too.
Well, not in any dramatic way. Is that a story you want to hear?
Yeah.
You do, huh?
I'm an experiencer. I know that the chat, we're kind of flooded here. Yeah,
right,
that's a good question. I'm glad that was asked.
Let me see if I can condense this. When I lived in Florida, the woman who started the website with me, we've been in businesses and stuff for many years. We were on the Gulf side of Florida. I lived on Cocoa Beach on the other side of Florida. And we'd been out, I think it was well past midnight. And we were just tired, just plain tired. And so we pulled into an area that's known as Buena Vista, which is in the Disney area. And just to get out, stretch our legs and breathe some fresh air. Well, we sat down on a park bench. Nobody's around at this point. I mean, everything's closed up. So we're sitting there and laughing about something stupid. And all of a sudden, I felt something hit my head like this. And if I'd blinked, I would not have seen it. But it was shaped like a yellow check, but it was light. Hit my head, and then I felt it in the back of my head. And that may be the reason that I experienced or saw what I saw after that. The guard came by, and he looked at us. It was kind of strangely. And there was construction being done on a new building. And so they had these big, high wooden walls. And he went over and unlocked it. Then he came out, he looked at us and walked away. And of course, my curiosity had me go look through that, door or that gate. And there was like a scout ship hovering over that area. That was the extent of anything. Somebody else was there. There apparently was no missing time or anything like that. But there was, and I may have been the only one that could have seen it because there's some connection with that light hitting my head. There's so.
What do you feel the connection was?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one.
So run me through this again. Maybe I heard a light came in and hit your head.
Just imagine a bank check, something the size of a bank check.
Okay.
It was kind of a yellow, green, bright colored light hit my forehead and then went to the back of my head. It's the part of your brain where the vision is.
Yes.
Which is why I think it's possible that I may have been the only one that would have seen that ship. I do not know.
That's interesting. And the front here, that would be your third eye, right?
It went like this. It went like this. It went to the left side to the right side of my brain in the back.
Oh, wow.
So that would probably be the most dramatic thing. I've seen UFOs in the sky and, like so many people have now. But
they talk about, this is interesting that you say that, Mary, because some people have to come within close proximity with someone maybe such as yourself to see where they've actually, I've heard testimony of it, where they've actually taken a few steps back and they couldn't see. But when they went into whatever kind of bubble was around that individual, then it was
They
like
could see
it
it.
popped back up again. Yeah, they could see it.
Well, might be able to tie that together with my experience, because
That's
I'm very
interesting.
open to the fact that I might have been the only one that saw that. Of course, it was also well past midnight and it was quiet, so who knows?
A lot of people though can't process it. Have you noticed that? Like with anything in the paranormal, with any of it, it's like we could experience it. It's almost like they're so afraid of it, or they just kind of, I don't know, short circuit in some way. But it's like, how do you not remember this? But I even had one friend say, "Don't you think maybe you've just seen too much? Like, don't." She was almost like mad at me about it, and I was like, I guess everybody handles it
I
different.
didn't talk about it for a long time. Not that I was trying to hide it. It's just that it wouldn't come into my conscious thoughts to talk about it. And then it changed one day. So I guess it was time
Kind
for
of
me
always nagged at you, or always stayed with you.
I never forgot it, but I mean, it wasn't something that was constantly in my mind. And whenever I was like on shows like yours, it never crossed my mind to talk about it. But that changed a couple of years ago.
And what had happened a couple of years ago?
It happened a bunch of years ago when I lived in
No,
Florida.
you said it. I thought you said until a couple of years ago. That
Until a
changed.
couple of years ago, I never talked about it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if something maybe happened that changed or
If it
brought
did,
it to your
if
forefront.
it did, I don't know about it. I just personally kind of figure it was time to share it. It must have been
Okay.
time to share it.
But that makes sense, because a lot of things that I have tied into this, like I haven't understood like why I'll have this like fragment, right, of memory, like a situation that happened, and it's not like I've even really and then all of a sudden it's like, but I knew it was something because it stayed with me, and then it kind of, they connected the dots, so to speak. So it was like something that kind of opened I was like, oh, then I became inclusive with like a bigger picture, I guess, if I'm explaining that correctly. So I guess I was just wondering if it connected some dots for you, or anything like, happened more than.
No, I mean, I think all of us, our intuitive ability opens up more when we've had those kind of contacts. I don't doubt that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What was life like growing up? Were you in tune to
No,
anything spiritual? No.
I've always talked about, I better follow my gut or I'll be in trouble. I always had this gut feeling about everything. But no, I wasn't into any of this until I was much older.
And you're Spitfire. I mean that in the greatest way possible. How did you get into like investigative journalism? Because that's a huge thing. I mean, like, you're delivering and going out and investigating some pretty, big things.
Well, a couple of things. One, I still have a very active curiosity, and so many people keep posting more stuff about the same old stuff, and I don't like to do that because I get bored easily. That has not changed. But I'm sure that when I was younger, I felt invincible, or less, just, though there were moments in the thick of things. I can remember once I was checking on, I went with our main investigative reporter to get more information about a mafia story. And we were going to interview the man who had been beat up by the mob to the point where his feet pointed the other way. And we were in a bar where the people hung out. Again, you have to be young to pull some of this off. And then we went to his parents' house where he was staying. His parents lived above a liquor store. So you'd go up the side of the building, and then there would be a back porch, and that was the entrance to the apartment. So we get there, and I think his mother opened the door, and we stepped in, and we weren't in there but a minute, and this man comes down the hall with a gun drawn, aimed right at us. He thought we were I don't know how, but he thought we were part of the bad guys. I still had a badge that I'd gotten from years before when I worked for the court system. And I said, wait a second, let me show you something, because I figured out that he thought we were bad guys. And so I very slowly reached into my purse and pulled out this badge and showed it to him, put the gun away, and we were okay. But my heart was beating a lot faster at that point.
Oh, I bet. So did you always kind of have that in you to go and dig for the truth, and that sense of living on the edge?
Yeah, I don't know if you call it living. I never thought of it as living on the edge, but I've always been curious. And I don't know. Uh, my dad's side of the family is kind of fearless, and he would stand up for things when a lot of people wouldn't. So I'm sure just being brought up by people like my parents made those things happen more easily.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm one of those people. I just, but I learned from my grandparents. You did, there were certain things, and it really, I appreciate that about people.
So,
Yeah, it sets you on a whole pursuit for the truth. And it's truth. I said, I was always warned before, truth is a path you mostly walk alone. It's not, you're not always the liked one of the group. You're not always the, you go through a lot.
If you only have so many lights, are you going to put them all in one place? I don't think so.
No.
You got to spread it. You got to spread it. And I think that's part of the reason a lot of people who are very much of the light sometimes feel like the black sheep in the environment that they live in.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think some of us are here hardwired or programmed just a little bit different than the rest of the people from that aspect of things?
I think some of us come in with certain missions, and maybe we can't in the beginning tell you what that is, but it gets revealed as we go along. And I think, everybody who's doing the kind of work that you're doing and I'm doing has a mission. We each have our own little pond that we're trying to, help.
Isn't that, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. It gives you a lot of purpose in life when that's revealed to you. Like when you realize you're like, everything that I've done up until this point, I was a mental health therapist for 7 years and sat in, but it helps me now today to interview. Like, I see how everything kind of came the point
together.
That. Yes.
Sure. Absolutely. So there's a path that's kind of been that's been mapped out for us, or we've done it for ourselves. And it just doesn't all get revealed at the same time. And if it did, we probably, again, would be bored to death.
Absolutely. What do you think about like some of the prophecies come into play? Do you think everybody that's coming here, do you think there's people there of the light that they're trying to identify? Have you gone into any of that work at all by chance?
Can you ask that another way?
Yeah. So I was a part of the Gifted and Talented program, I guess I'll say. And it comes down to, we were identified by, or at birth, basically at birth, by a heel prick. So I was wondering if you ever got into any of that type of stuff, and then they can identify, because there's so many interesting routes to go through. Where would you like to go next? I mean, you've got a mound of absolutely fascinating research and evidence. I'd love to, All
right, this is the only plug I'm going to do for a book. I've got 5 books on Amazon. There's one that has been blocked in every way possible. So the only way you can get it is through me. If you go to the website, skyshipsovercashers.com, and open up Editor's Corner, right at the very top, it'll tell you how you can get the book. It's called Spy in the Sky. And what I did, and I was doing it for the website that I was doing, I spent uncountable hours using Google Earth to search Mars and the moon and Antarctica and the oceans, and found just incredible things. And so this book, Spy in the Sky, is really a photo book or a picture book for adults, because there's photos on every page. And it was in the process of doing that kind of searching that I found stuff. For example, I found a ton of stuff on Mars. I found a craft that was parked. It had the raised hump in the middle. It cast a shadow on the ground. If I remember correctly, it was like 3.5 miles in diameter. There were 2 other crafts that I found on the planet, and one had a huge skid mark that was well over 4,000 feet, and then it rammed into the surface of Mars. And, that was another thing I found. But then the more I explored, the more I found. And one day, always trying to get out of the box thinking, instead of going from right to left or left to right, I decided I'd go from pole to pole. And I discovered something I never would have found any other way. there were these square cut entrances into Mars that don't look ancient. They look like contemporary warehouse openings. And in round figures, they might range from like 400 feet across to 1,000 feet. I've got the actual figures in the book. And they were all in a line over 16 miles. If my memory's bad sometimes, I think it was like 27 different entrances.
Oh, wow.
That's some of the stuff I began to discover. These things begin to get covered over many times when they're found. So it's harder and harder to find things with Google Earth, because clearly Google Earth is walking hand in hand with our government. And whatever the government doesn't want shown, they are very good about covering it up. And it happens here on Earth. For example, I found 2 pyramids south of Paradise Island in the Bahamas. And I took a screenshot of it. And that's important. If you find anything unusual, hit the screenshot and save it, because it may not be there later.
Yeah.
So in the book, I have those original pictures where you can see the pyramids. And then it's like somebody took a Band-Aid of photographic paper and put it right smack on top of those. And I have that also, so you can see the cover up. Also, when I was doing exploration of Antarctica, I found 2, now this is really interesting. I found 2 entrances into Mars. The largest one was shaped kind of like this, and any of our aircraft could have flown into it very easily. I took a screenshot, and I found the other entrance had a screenshot. I posted that on the website. Within almost immediately, that was like covered up. It's like somebody took a bottle of black ink and just poured it over it. But it was covered up in steps. That was the first step. And for some reason, I kept checking back on it for a very brief amount of time, and I feel very fortunate that I caught it. There was a type on it, and it said Hollow Earth Entrance. And the other one said Hollow Earth Entrance 2. And then after that, they changed the whole thing, and it looks like a sheet of ice.
Wow.
And there's many times that I posted stuff on the website and it almost immediately disappears.
Isn't that funny? I said to people, I'm one too. I took screenshots and I printed off, and then because I said they can change it. Websites, we don't realize just how much they can change and how they'll slowly, even with some of the stuff I've done it too, and I've gone back and I had somebody, they're like, I don't think that was there. I was like, I've got 47,000 screenshots. Let me find it. It's like that's really what you have to do.
And that's something we should encourage anybody who's listening or watching to do, because you're right. They can disappear. The quickest I've had it disappear was I found something in Antarctica, and I talked on the phone with somebody who, I'm not going to do name dropping. We'll just say it's a person that's been seen on like Ancient Aliens. And I said, I'll send you a copy of it as soon as I take my shower. I think this was on a Saturday morning. I did not take a long shower. When I came back, it wasn't like little digit shaped cover up. It was like this faint oval of white had been put right over that. So that happened in the time it took me to take a shower.
Wow. They're probably layering it up. Just if anybody tries to dismantle a piece, they can't do it. That'd be wow.
Is that what they'd be doing? I don't know, but it sure did happen quickly.
Yeah. They'll put layer on top of that way. If a hacker were to say, "Oh, okay, well that just disappeared. I'm going to go in and look for it," they're going to be going under so many layers when they do that.
That could be. It could be. There's logic there.
Yeah, and then a lot of times even pulling it from outside the country, you got a little bit of time to do that, but not much. Yes.
No, please find your print screen key, because that's important.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff I was able to save was because of that. I also want to, I'm jumping back and forth with you. I apologize.
No, you're okay. I think like that.
Back to Mars. The man who was in charge of Israel's security program for almost 30 years, his name is Hayam Rashid. And in December of 2020, he decided that he was going to go public with a statement. And I'm only going to read 2 sentences from his statement. It was printed in the Jerusalem Post, which has a decent reputation. Here's one sentence. There's an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. Second sentence. There's an underground base in the depths of Mars where the ET's representatives are, and also our American astronauts.
Oh, wow.
So that can explain, you know, some of the contemporary structures that are found.
So do you think that life's already been on Mars, that we've already been and explored that?
I believe the man that there's our astronauts are on Mars now. And I also believe, more than believe, there's no way that these astronauts are getting to from here to Mars in rocketry. They have very sophisticated ways of transportation. I don't know, you get into the realm of beam me up, I think, but either that or they're hitching a ride with an ET.
Do you think that ET are here? Do you think that they are on a spectrum, some good, some bad? Do you see
Yes,
some
I
of...
do.
Okay.
Yeah,
a lot of people. Amy wanted you to know, Miss. It says, if you see that, my sincere apologies for giving the wrong number today on the pastors that were invited at the UFO meeting. It said was about 100, and they're invited not 500. Does that make sense? Was that for you? Oh, Jane. Sorry, not Joyce. I'm sorry. That was not. I was reading Jane's message. I'm sorry, it was in chat. I thought it was for you. I apologize. So
that's been up. That's been on the internet a lot in the last week or so.
About the pastors.
Mm-hmm. Pastors. I understand it that somebody in the government has been meeting with pastors who have big audiences or big congregations or big influence, getting them prepared to prepare their people for alien encounters.
Yeah, I heard they were meeting in a state, like nobody really said or released what state it was in.
I think I heard somebody say Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. Oh, that's interesting.
I'm not sure. Please, I mean, I'm not sure, but
I'll look into it. I always check into stuff, but kind of gives me another piece to maybe an avenue to look down.
And here's a way to follow this, and I haven't done it myself. Is it Burchett, the senator who's doing, or the representative that's doing all the UP or U?
Oh, Burchett.
Oh, Burchett, yes. He may be from Tennessee. So if he's from Tennessee and that's where these meetings have been held, that's an interesting connection too. But that's one of those things you have to dig into. I can't say that. I haven't dug into it.
Yeah. So in saying this, a lot of people are on here, we're digging for information. And with that being said, you obviously, maybe you could help guide people. What avenue do you think in gathering information? Like, is there certain things you think to, is it what, when, where, when, why? I mean, whatever your techniques are.
I don't get, well, the curiosity, I came with the curiosity, but I really do think I'm being guided and presented directions to go oftentimes.
You see your real instinct. I think that was great that what you said, like if this, then check into there. If that connects, then some people don't think along those lines, and looking for those trails. So I thought that was very cool.
So I guess I'm going to have to do that fairly soon because now I'm really curious.
Right. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. What do you think of all these missing scientists? Have you dug into that at all?
I can only present a logical possibility. The United States brought over 1,600 plus scientists from Germany because they wanted to use them. So it's possible that a country like China would take these people. It's a possibility that those that don't cooperate get killed. Who knows? That is pure speculation. But it's something very deliberate. There's too much commonality to dismiss it as just circumstance.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. Do you think, I guess down here in your research and what you've done, who's running the show? I mean, not talking about like, the hidden hand, whatever. Do you think ET is here living among us?
The ETs are a whole lot smarter than we are. And from what I've pieced together is that when all the drones or all the UFOs were being seen over the New England part of our country mostly.
Yes.
My understanding is those were real ET ships because they they are planning to be discovered. They're no longer leaving it in the hands of the humans. And in fact, I think they're forcing the humans to do things they might not otherwise do, as far as revealing real disclosure. So that means that they're more in charge than we are. They're certainly smarter than we are.
Right. Do you take it back to like maybe an agreement that was made with the president, or have you traced it back where you think like there's some sort of agreement has been made? And why would it be like now that they're coming forward?
All right. Which question do you want me to answer?
Oh, well, whichever first. Yeah, either or is great.
The only thing I know about Eisenhower and his agreement is there was an exchange for technological information. So, and the ETs would be able to abduct certain amount of us. I've heard about that for years. I do think that probably was an agreement, but I think what's going on is going beyond that. And now, all right, I'm absolutely convinced that ETs are working with us now.
Yeah, I do.
Wonderful story, and you may know about Bill Tompkins. He worked at NASA, and very credible man. And he talked about these beautiful secretaries that worked at NASA. And he eventually figured out they were ETs, and they were just brilliant. And when the space program really took off faster than people expected, and it was because the ETs would step in and give the humans information that would get them to the next step that they might not have gotten to so closely or so quickly. So that's an example of ETs working with humans. The statement by the Israeli security man, that indicates we're working with ETs. If you really dig into it, there's quite a bit of believable testimony that we are working with the ETs.
Robert Dean, I don't know if you followed any of his work. He always said
good man. Years ago, I spoke at the International UFO Congress, and he was there. He was followed around like a Hollywood celebrity. I mean, everywhere he was, there was a crowd around him.
Oh, he's great. Yeah, I followed a lot of his work. I just remember him saying, they walk up and down the corridors of the Pentagon. They're right there among us. And that really always stuck with me. I think I even have like a clip of the video from way, way back.
He has said many things that are worth quoting. I occasionally I have in the past posted stuff that he has said. And he's another man who I think is very genuine, or was.
Yeah, I do too. And who, I guess, out of others in the community, who do you kind of align with, I guess, in some of the research or stuff that you have followed?
Well,
everybody kind of has a different, kind of take on things.
A couple of things. One, I don't follow anybody because I don't want to be identified with anybody. Mm-hmm. And I depend on this outside nudging that I get to either read a book or contact this person or that person. And to be quite honest, I trust on that a lot.
Yes. No, that's a good read, because you can be very, very easily influenced in this if you're not. You seem like you're very, I see a lot of myself in you, to be quite honest, like with some of that. It's just, you can't. I've had people too that have come on and then they think, and it's like, if you don't report on their narrative and see it the same way they do, then you're going to have repercussions for that. And I definitely don't want to be that.
And that's why that does happen in any kind of organization. You have to be part of what they've concluded that they believe. And that's dangerous.
That is dangerous. And it has no, I get that. There is no place for that in journalism, especially if you're not, you have to look at all sides of it. But I too kind of go with my gut and kind of connect those dots on things. What do you think, with all this disclosure stuff, is the most pressing issues, I guess, today that you see?
You mean they better come in and straighten us out before we blow everything up. As a species, I think we're getting dumber and dumber. And there's a lot of stupidity going on right now. And it's embarrassing, really, and dangerous. So maybe we do need some outside help at this point. Maybe that's why things have speeded up, because we've just gone down a rat hole.
Oh yeah, a rat hole would probably be putting it very nicely, but you're right. There was some question. What have you heard? Somebody wanted me to ask you about parasites. I'm not sure.
Parasites?
I believe. Let me pull it back up. I think I read it right. Um, is that what I was reading? Let me go back. There was a few questions that people had. I was just going to grab those really quickly. Usually they're starred, but yeah, that's what they said. So do you think that the government in their disclosure with the ET and them now saying like, we're going to disclose ourselves, why, I guess before, why do you think right now? What is so, why not 10 years ago? Why not 10 years from now? If they've been here and they know of us, like what do you think is so specific like at this time that had to be,
Everybody that you and I know can look back when this country seemed to function better and people cooperated better. We are more divisive than any time in my life. And I think it's gotten so bad that that is the reason that the ETs are pushing for a disclosure. They are pushing for it, from what I've pieced together. And if it weren't for them pushing it, we wouldn't be getting much of anything. And if they weren't pushing it, we as human beings would have to be pushing our government to reveal stuff. And they will only reveal what they absolutely have to. And so I think the ETs have come in and they know they're more powerful. When all those sightings were done up in New England that I mentioned earlier, you know what the government did when that happened? Because they knew those were real. They started sending up all sorts of drones just to muddy the waters.
Oh, wow. They were here. I was on a call, Nebraska MUFON, and they said they had Netflix that was in their meeting. And they're like, we wanted to know, there was like 70 calls all of a sudden that popped up right in that time. It was going on across the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
for some reason, I was more aware of the New England part, but yes.
Well, I wouldn't have known unless, because they didn't report on it. I only knew because I was in that call and I heard them say how the hotline, because they had reported it all to MUFON. So they said that their switchboard had lit up like a Christmas tree. There's about 70 calls that had come through like instantaneously.
So you got it when the story was breaking.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah. I was just like, the mainstream never reported on it. But they're just saying all these drones or these drones.
No, they didn't. They tried to dismiss it as something more ordinary, but there was a lot of coverage in the media. There was a lot. Well,
no, there was mystery drones out there, and I'm like, but I guess it's my understanding, if you look over even to China, that they were sending like 10,000 up at one time. I think the avenue they were going down was not actually like a factual, avenue where the way they were looking at it, I guess, in that perspective.
The most dangerous thing is when they mix truth with untruth, and it becomes more believable.
Oh, so do you think that China was?
No, I'm just making a general statement.
Sure.
I'm absolutely in my own mind convinced that there were real UFOs trying to make a grand appearance that couldn't be denied. And now with people with cell phones everywhere, more people are getting pictures. There's new pictures all the time, to the point where it's almost boring to post them because I was looking at those over there, and so you have to go beyond that.
And AI is really muddying the water.
I have to double check and triple check everything now with AI.
We just had a problem. Speaking of AI, yes. I guess apparently, like Brock told me 2 days ago, that they could not put a direct picture of. They couldn't even. I recognized it. It was also the year. They told me something was 2024, and I was like, okay, what is going on here? But then it said that first it said they didn't have the ability to remember, like going back in conversation. And second, they said there was a program overriding their ability to put that picture on it, and it was changing it in some way. And Mary said, you realize that's not me? And I said, well, now that I've met you, and seen you in person, I probably would, but I did not. And you should have seen, now that I think about it, a show on Monday, and it literally, a program that I used for my show, vidIQ, made up a bunch of stuff about the guest on, and just enough, was weeded in there where I was kind of closely scanning it. And I was like, oh, this, looks so, but no.
You've been in the muddy waters
this week I have been, Mary. I've been in those muddy waters more times but I've learned some lessons. And I thought, well, I pay for this service. What is it doing here? Trying to sabotage me. But I usually don't rely on that. I usually go through it myself. But I was kind of running a little bit behind. I thought, well, just, because it analyzes every single video. It has all of my information. I've never seen it be deceptive necessarily, but it was spewing out stuff that was not necessarily true. It made it alluded maybe to something that it was not. Partially true, but yeah, no. Oh, I think you're froze, Mary. I thought this is a really bad sign if you're giving me this look and not saying anything, but I think Mary's froze. We'll wait for her to come back. I'm not sure about all the, yeah, she's probably froze. She didn't come back. So I'm not sure if anybody had any questions like about the parasite. I'm going to have to look. I'm not sure exactly what's going on right now or what the deal is on there. She didn't really know what I was talking about. I'm wondering, what can you give me a connector to like exactly like, is it due to like the back, I don't call it back, whatever that is going around, or do you think that it's, I obviously know about parasites and I do detox all the time. I just wasn't sure. Sometimes the government has been calling ET parasites, they've been, so I can ask her about cleansing stuff. I'm not sure if she would know or not. Hopefully we get her back. What happened, Mary? Yeah, frozen Mary. I don't know. Hopefully we get her back. I know I kind of noticed a little bit of some, but anytime you have these conversations, it seems like you're always going to get interference in some way. So yeah, we'll just kind of, hey Andrew, it's nice to see you in here. We'll just kind of go, and I'm going through. If you guys have any questions too, I don't know if she was just on Midwest Night Watchers. Did you guys have any, Gerald or G, or I'm not going to say I'm a G or Jane? Do you guys have any questions or a good direction to go? I guess if we get Mary back, I'm just kind of going through the comments. So it's absolutely, we have tomorrow Daryl Sims, the alien hunter, on with Jay Austin. He'll be on at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time too. And then we have, we have a really cool, not that they're not all cool, they are all cool, but I actually was so proud of myself that I did a bunch of shows in advance and I have all this stuff done. But we have, let me pull it up here real quick so I don't give you any false information. Amy, thank you so much. And also thank you so much before for gifting the memberships. That's really awesome. Welcome to the 5 new Woo crew, and we appreciate the super chat 1000%. I appreciate it. And then on, so I'll just go through. So we have a retired, he was from, let's see, so Sergeant Sands. Okay, so he was actually on Joe Rogan going back a year ago. I believe he was in Jamie Foxx's documentary, but he should be really interesting. So he's got some stuff that he wants to say. Yeah, it's Jason Sands. So he's going to talk about UFO crash retrieval and non-human intelligence and what he said his orders were that the government gave, which is absolutely interesting. We have him, and then he's on Friday. And then we have Sarah Adams will be on Saturday. So if there's any mods that will be available, we could use you. And on Sunday, we have Bill Graham and David Hunt. They're awesome. They're from the UK. They've got some great information. It's absolutely fascinating. David's is some of his encounters, and Phil's. They're really furthest. If when you hear David, they've gotten UFO to come down. Like, it is absolutely insane in kind of the ways that they did it, but a lot of it makes really a lot of sense. So, and then on Monday, stay tuned. We have Pops and his cryptid crew. They are coming on for a panel. It's one panel you definitely don't want to miss. They're going to have Carl Supps. So it's going to be Pops, and then Keith from Oz, and Lori Ladd, Lori Flamethrower, Flamethrower Lori, then Cindy, She'll be on with them, and then Carl Supp will be there. They're going to kind of feature one person a month, and of course Gary Spikes Pops will be there, and so yeah, it's definitely it's really a really neat crew, and they have so much knowledge and information, and just to hear some of their stuff, it's awesome. So yeah, I guess I don't know what to we'll give her a few more minutes and see if we get her back. I knew she was kind of freezing up before, but hopefully everything's okay. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm not Mary, of course, but I mean, is there anything? I don't know if there's any area. Too, is there anybody you would like to see as a guest coming on? I'd love to hear what your input is, and I can work on getting them on. I'm trying to think of any. I know there's a few more coming up that I've been working on. I think Peter Maxwell Slattery, Mary Rodwell, always James Gillian will be coming back on here very soon too. But yeah, is there any topics? I mean, I saw that the parasites were one. I can find specialists in that area if you are interested. So post Thursday and Friday, busy week, hectic. Oh, you've been in 2 podcasts this week, Larry, I didn't know you did podcasts. Drop a link. I had no idea. You've been on 2 shows? I had no clue. Or if I did, I apologize. I'm not like connecting the dots on that one, but wow, that's awesome. And other than that, I mean, Carl's great. And Amy, welcome to the crew. Welcome to the fam. I mean, there's this great group, great community. Always we definitely look out for one another. I think it's amazing. We have some great mods. I can say great things about everybody here. It's nice to have. The support and everything else. So, Kurt W75, he's been at the heart of this for a long time. It's great. Always great to see Kurt. He's come on and done some shows too. Kurt, if you want to jump on any, all you have to do is let me know and I can get you a link to be on. So, we got somebody new. So, Timcon, we're waiting on. We lost Mary. Okay, we don't know what happened to her yet. She froze, and we're just kind of waiting to see if she comes back. And then Barbara Lamb, that's a good one too. Yeah, Mary Rodwell, isn't she? She's excellent. She is excellent. It does, because we want to jump to it. But yeah, I love Mary. The first time I met Mary, I was like, man, she's so cool. She's like, really in a very stern voice. She's like, Coley, now you tell me exactly why you are in this field. Like, she like put me on the spot, and I didn't necessarily know how much she analyzed things until after, but I just was like, oh, sure. I just kind of went into everything. And then she was telling me, because I was a therapist for 7 years, but you don't really think about stuff. And she's like, well, I would have known if you had been deceptive by this, and this. So I passed her test, and I was like, man, Mary, I like her. I really like her. So that I just always had that like very mad respect for her. So she's great. She's great. Let's see. Good to have phone numbers to call. Oh, good to have. You think they'd want to get on just like right now? I don't know. Oh, is Wendell in here? Wendell and I skate together. So I don't see him though yet, but there's Wendell. Well, you changed your name. Here, he's right up here. I didn't even see it until I pulled up your picture. Yes, Wendell and I, we go skating together. You should see Wendell he's got some skills. He has some skills. I should have pulled up, I could pull up some skating videos, but you know what I mean? But yeah, no, that's awesome. Wendell, why is your name changed? I don't know. That's, I guess, Nathaniel Gillis. And Kurt, I talked to Nathaniel last time. Chris Miner and I did a show with Steve Mero. He said Nathaniel's going to come on, so that's good. I'm going to write that down and get him back, because he said he definitely would come back on. He was out of town, or he had a lot of stuff going on. And I know Chris Miner wants to do that show again too, so I'll get with him and do that. I'll do that right after. Nathaniel, I love his work. He's really got. He's got a lot of good work out there. So And it says people got parasites. Oh yeah, the parasites. I'm always detoxing. I think there's so much of it in our system, so I go through and do the borax and like a whole regimen I got for it. So, yeah, there are spiritual parasites, and the Nathaniel and Steve Mera, they talk a lot about that. They're great. I was thinking about having them on together, and then probably having Nathaniel do separate. They do have different, but they're definitely complementary. But they're very much their own people. Very much their own people. I enjoy their work very much. And Kurt's actually the one that got me pointed in Steve Mera's direction. So yes, thank you, Kurt. And I will get Nathaniel. And Steve's been on ever since Kurt. He's been on 4 or 5 times, and he just brings it every time. I really enjoy him. I really do. That was a very good call. So I don't think we're getting Mary back, you guys. I'm sorry. Mary, I hope you're okay. I can reschedule the show with her. I feel horrible. She's got a ton of great information, and great information. And I saw her over, like I said, over on Midwest Night Watchers, and I will get everything uploaded, but definitely get over to her site and check it out. And yes, and then too, so I say tomorrow's show was text reboot. I'm stuck. This is going to sound crazy, but StreamYard now, let me see if I can reach her. I'm going to freeze up, which is going to be kind of weird, but let me see if I'm going to double check and see if I can. So I'm just going to shut my camera off so I don't look like a crazy person, but I'm going to send her a message and see if she is able to reboot. Let's see here. I got her on Facebook. It doesn't show like she's active. I wonder if she just something knocked out her internet is kind of what it looked like. Here, sorry. It's hard to type and then talk at the same time. Trying to keep you entertained, and then there we go, just something like that. So I'll see if she responds, and then I can give her like 5 more minutes, and then we can go from there. So, and then too, I wanted to say that we're starting the disclosure desk, and that we had Cindy Bailey and Gary Spikes. They have kicked that one off. And yeah, so it's, if you don't feel like hey, maybe you don't want to do a 2-hour show, or you don't, you have an experience you want to talk about, but we're having to, pick like one thing, like they picked their near-death experiences, which is absolutely a great topic. And we kind of hit that. And then it was, yeah, so I'm trying to kind of do some of those rounds, but let me just play that for you real quickly, and let me check on there.
Your experiences matter and deserve to be shared. Imagine sitting in the disclosure desk chair where your story takes center stage. You will have 45 minutes of one-on-one time with me diving deep into your UFO sightings, ET encounters, or any high strangeness that has left you questioning reality. This is your chance to reveal your truth unfiltered and raw. But it does not stop there. You will have the opportunity to turn the tables and ask me the tough questions that keep you up at night. What do you want to know about disclosure? What answers have eluded you? Every experience is a piece of the puzzle. Together we can shed light on the unknown. If you are ready to step into the spotlight and share your journey, drop a comment with your name, location, and a brief description of your experience. Let's make your voice heard in the quest for truth.
Welcome to the Disclosure Desk. That chair, it could be yours. 45 minutes live on air, just you and me. You tell your story, then ask me anything. Ready to talk about your...
So that's kind of the gist of it. If you saw that. And Mary, yes, I am getting I'm assuming she must have gotten her internet knocked out or something. Let's see here. Yeah. Because it would even say like if she had got, but she's not, has no green on her whatsoever. I don't see that she's active whatsoever. So I don't know I'll have to check on her and definitely get her back. She's fantastic. She really is in her research. So, sorry, I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that there's a bandana shaped earth denier. Wait, who? No, that's not. I'm gonna say I don't really know what the heck we got going on out there. That there is, I know very much that there's nobody hanging upside down. That's all I'm gonna say. But I was a pilot. I went to aviation school before I went to grad school to be a therapist. And once we got up there was a grid, and the only deviation that we made was magnetic deviation. So it was just due to our instruments and staying on course. Other than that, there was nothing that we corrected for altitude. So that I think that nobody really knows for sure. I think like Mary was talking about on Google, and those pictures being, all prevent, like whatever layers they put on to prevent us from seeing it. I think that's done definitely with great intent of keeping us this way. Because we're not here to, just because we think different or we've gone down. I've thought things 10 years ago, and it's like everybody's kind of at different stages. So what I tried to do is I tried to get a guest on. I let them present their side of it, and I let you make your decision on where you're going with it. Because what we do today, we can only do as much as we can with the tools that we have. And what we see today is not how we see tomorrow, and it's not how we see yesterday. And so I just think that everybody kind of goes on that path, that journey to truth. And I was warned. I got onto cryptology and steganography, and I did all of that prior to. And the guy said, "Are you sure you want to do this? The journey to truth, that is a journey you mostly walk alone." And that couldn't have been more true. And I thought, man, I was thinking at the time, who the hell wouldn't want to know the truth? Like, why wouldn't you want to know the truth? Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. That is a whole nother topic. But yeah, I think we did end up losing Mary. I do about Mary. I hope that MIB did not. So this happy birthday, Blazer. Yeah, where's Blazer? We're missing Blazer. But yeah, so I just wanted to thank everybody. I will be back tomorrow with Jay Austin. If you don't know Jay Austin from the UK, he's awesome. He's really cool. He's going to be there, and we're going to have the alien hunter, Daryl W. Sims. And Daryl, I really like Daryl. I really do. He's good. And he's an experiencer. And he's actually hit some things like about the fluorescent lights. And Jay is an experiencer also. So Jay has very much been affected by that. So it's going to be very interesting, the ties that we make tomorrow. And I'm really excited for the one on Friday too. I'm really excited for all of them. I can't say I have one favorite over the other, but I'm curious, I should say more or less, about Jason Sands. And I saw his Joe Rogan episode, and it was very interesting on what in being a whistleblower and what he's saying. So you can there's always nuggets along the way, even if, they've been deceived or there's always, by listening to this, and he's very authentic and genuine from what I can tell. So like I said, though, you have to make those decisions. I can't make them for you. So a lot of it is very much subjective, fits in. We've all had different experiences, and I truly believe that, we are all here and we have our own, let's say, territories, and we hold it, but that doesn't mean that somebody else and they're together, we are a full picture. This is not a one-man band. This is definitely not a one-man band. So I hope everybody, I'm gonna just leave it here, and I'll get with Mary, and I will get back to you and let you know when she can come back on, and we can do this. And I apologize, but I know that she was having some some glitchy things. I wasn't really that badly, but before, so hopefully everything's okay on her end. Sometimes when you talk about these topics, this happens, and I hate to sound like conspiracy, but it really does. I've asked normal channels. I was like, do you get some of this stuff as much? And I don't know if it's you're hitting some trigger words, or if it's that little NSA listening, or who it is. But everybody's like, why would they? I'm like, they do. My local law enforcement listens. They've told me, they've testified to that. So yeah, I'm a known conspiracy theorist in my community, and I think that even that, I'm like, that's just so crazy. Like, who does that? But anyway, I guess if you weren't saying something that mattered, why would they really care and go to the extremes that they do? So it should be an honor, I guess, in a really strange, bizarre way. But yeah, right now I'm just gonna say, hopefully, if you can make any of the shows this week, definitely do. And then again, Monday, Pops and Lori Ladd and Cindy Bailey and Keith from Oz, and then they'll have Carl Supp, and they have a great panel, and they'll be taking questions. And I'm gonna get the call lines actually up and running again. I I kind of got some of the stuff that, you know, especially with some of the controversy that's been going on. But yeah, I think there's enough space in between. You just don't want somebody on there and not have a little bit of a delay and then they get you knocked out. But so it's a little bit of a risk, but I think it's definitely a way to help connect. And if you're interested in coming on in the disclosure desk, or you know somebody is, let me go ahead and I'm going to drop the email. It's Subnation X, which is cryptid. It means subliminal dissemination, which is polymorph. But then I use an 8, which is bracketed ET in there. So if you're wondering, it's something only. I don't know why I would ever pick this for an email, and then I have to, people look at it and they must allude to something it's not. So I'm just telling you in advance, not that you wanted to know all of that, because that's, you don't even think I'll say this quickly and only once because gets to be a bit much. But this, welcome to my brain right here. So I'm going to put this up here really quickly. And if you want, just put in the subject line. If you put disclosure desk or interested in, just drop me a couple lines. I can get you scheduled. I would love to get that going, and, you know, we could do some rapid fire, however, but I do allow the flip the script. So if you want to put me in the hot seat, you're more than welcome to do so. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Some of you sat through 2 shows or a show and a half. And I appreciate that. It's always, always great. And again, I want to thank Amy and welcome to the family. We got 5 new members of our Woo crew, which is amazing. And we have, let's see here. Hopefully I'm going to pull up the right one here. So I want to thank you. I'm trying to find a way to incorporate that in to thank people when they do, and not maybe be so loud so I do it at the end. But thank you so much, and thank you for the super chat. It is, again, greatly appreciated. We're glad. We're supposed to say thank you for the super chat. So just pretend you saw it, but do appreciate it. And thank you again. And on behalf of SNX Radio, I'm Coley, also known as ColeyUFO. Thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. And we will be back with you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And please, by all means, drop in the comments the topics you want. I've got a great list going now for guests, because I'm here, you know, this is to be your voice. And so I want to make sure that everybody's included in all of this. So there's somebody you want on and I can get them on, or eventually I'll get them on, believe me. This is my skill on getting people. I've got ways. I've even gone to dog flyers before on my life. But I'm willing to do what it takes to get people here and ask our questions and ask yours. So I guess, again, good to one another. Enjoy what's left of your Wednesday, and we'll be seeing you again on Thursday with Daryl W. Sims, the Alien Hunter. Until next time.
These they ain't lying. UFOs in the night.